Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Our show today is A Woman's Prerogative Part 1 in partnership with E360 TV. A warm welcome to our loyal viewers and our friends at E360 TV, and hello to all of our friends on our usual social media channels, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn and X. Today's topic, I'm very excited for this topic today, it's net zero and beyond, holiday choices, business and climate change. I am Caroline HEWARD. I'm known as the Harley Street Stress Expert. I'm resident therapist for USA Global TV and Radio, and I'm also your host for tonight's show, A Woman's Prerogative Part 1. I'm absolutely honoured and thrilled to be representing Dr. Jacqueline as your host for USA Global TV and Radio's flagship show. We are joined with a number of other panelists. We have a full-time panelist, Reverend LYDIA FOUGERES, known as the Great Divine Mother, and she's also the mother, and she's a mother and reverend with a master's in metaphysics. And we have a special guest joining us tonight, a special guest that I've known for a long time, over 2 decades, Dr. Veronica BROOMES. Her role is CEO for Sustainability Summit for Business, which intertwines with her passion for environmental and sustainability and strategic business growth. Let's bring them both out and let's get on with the show. Hello, ladies.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you very much. Hello, Reverend LYDIA. Delighted to be here again.
Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us tonight. Without further ado, it would be wonderful if you could both introduce yourselves. We'll start off with Reverend LYDIA. If you can introduce a little bit about what you do and how you help people, Reverend LYDIA.
Well, I do help people with metaphysics to start with. I was a holistic nurse and a registered nurse. So I do understand people with what they live, what they go through. I am a reverend, so I do the functions of a reverend also. I work as an intuitive healer. I work with aromatherapy and all the natural resources that are possible. I work in a holistic way, but also I do believe in Western medicine. So that is what I do. So I am there to listen and to help and to guide, to find out cause to effect when someone is going through something difficult. That is what I do.
Thank you very much, Reverend LYDIA, and wonderful to always have you as one of our residential panelists, our expert panelists, and our wonderful and special guest, Dr. Veronica BROOMES. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and how you help people and organizations.
Thank you, Carolyn, and hello everyone who is viewing today's live stream or maybe listening to it on the replay or on YouTube. My name is Veronica BROOMES, and I'm the CEO, the founder of the Sustainability Support Service. What I do through my business is help other business owners or people who are working in businesses that are struggling to understand how they can actually integrate sustainability in their day to day. The first question is, what is sustainability? And from the perspective of a business, as well as an individual, sustainability is about looking at the environment or the planet, making decisions that also would affect people, the social part of it, and if you're in business, to ensure it makes business sense. So it's not about having a mark, it's not about planting trees, it's about thinking in your day-to-day operations, whether it's the energy that you use for heating or the way in which you travel, whether your own vehicle or public transport. The people that work with you or support you in your business, your customers, your clients, those are all part of the social and people ecosystem. And it's to ensure that that makes business sense. It makes business sense so that you win new business, you attract the customers and clients that you need, and you're also able to future-proof your business so that you can get the talent and the skills in order to grow and support the people that you serve, whether you describe them as clients or customers. So it's very hands-on in terms of what I do, not literally, but metaphorically, in that I am a trusted guide at the side of business owners, business founders, and through training, capacity building, an online sustainability portal that we have within the business, we're able to help businesses to not only see what they're already doing and to recognize that and continue their best practice, but also to be able to make a difference in terms of how they serve their customers, how they deliver their service, and to ensure that they can do that in a way that is seamless, in a way that will ensure that they're continuing to stay in business. So that is some of what I do. And in October, just over a month ago, we held for the first time an online summit on sustainability, and it was specifically for small and medium enterprises, including those that are in the supply chain of larger organizations. So hopefully that gives an idea as to what I do for your viewers and listeners, Caroline, and I'm delighted to be here again this evening.
Thank you, Dr. I've lost the name. Thank you very much, Veronica, for your esteemed contribution here tonight. And I'm looking forward to getting into the topic. Before I do, I'll briefly introduce myself. I'm Caroline HEWARD, known as the Harley Street Stress Expert, and I help people bust their stress. How do I do that? I work with root cause therapy and chakra psychology, how the mind and body connects and what happens when the person is experiencing a symptom, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or behavioral. I also work with corporates on a business-to-business level, and I provide lunch and learn talks, educational talks during the lunchtime, which move people in from not understanding to understanding, insight, awareness, so that they can tackle the stress that becomes their symptoms in their everyday life. And I help people bust their stress. So without further ado, let's move into the show. Our topic tonight, net zero and beyond, holiday choices, business and climate change. And this topic has come from Veronica Broomes because this was something that was very dear to her heart. And as you have heard from her what she's just shared, that she is very much an expert in this field. But I'd like to start in a very small way, in a personal way to begin with. And I'd like to look at, in a personal way, how can individuals make sustainable choices during the holiday season. And I'm looking at things like, because we are right on top of Christmas. I can't believe that I'm going to my family next Monday. I can't believe it's next week. A week today, I'm going off for Christmas. So this is very much in the mind. It's very topical. And I feel that it's absolutely brilliant that we've got Dr. Veronica Broomes here tonight to look at this particular topic. One of the things that came up for me was gifts using minimal packaging, because we like to, especially our older generation, we like to have ribbons and bows and pack it with lots of boxes and all the rest of it. But, sort of, this is something that certainly the older generation can do. And something that I also thought about was purchasing something for gifts, if you are looking at last minute gifts, in terms of looking at locally made. What are your thoughts about what I've just shared, Reverend Lydia? And would you like to add some of your own suggestions in terms of how individuals can make more sustainable choices during the holiday season?
Well, I did solve my problem with gift cards. I gave gift cards and books. So it was for me the solution. So no toys, no whatever this year because I have grandchildren. So I did not. So it was books and gift cards. They can get whatever they want. And I do not have to do the packaging neither. So I do not have to feel guilty for packaging and all that comes with it. It is not as glamorous that it used to be, but at least I think about the environment by making it smaller. That is the way I did things this year. That is the way I thought. Let's
Thank you,
save the
Reverend Lydia, and I
environment.
love it because I hand money to the family, and so they get what they want, so we don't offend them by purchasing something they don't want. Well, let's move into our expert on the topic, Dr. Veronica Broomes. What are your thoughts about how individuals can make sustainable choices during this holiday season?
Well, thanks for asking the question, Caroline. That's a brilliant way to start our conversation this evening. And Reverend Lydia, you're certainly on the right track in terms of not only reducing your carbon emissions or reducing your packaging waste, but also to maybe increase the experience of the recipients of your gifts. And so I'd say that think about it in the way which says small ideas, small action with a huge impact. And that's very much what this season allows us to do. So if we're thinking about gifting, it depends on who you're giving the gift to. So is it someone at work? Is it a member of your family? If it's a member of your family, from my experience, I know because I have nephews and nieces, I know that you have to think about the age group of the child. Because if it's a toddler, they certainly don't want a picture dictionary if you're giving books. But how about how that gift is wrapped? How about thinking how that gift is unwrapped or will be unwrapped? Do you need it in a gift bag as well as the individual package wrapped? Think about it. Is it a gift that is likely to be used immediately or just seen as another item that the individual has received this Christmas? Is it a gift that is likely to be opened before the next Christmas? And so as you think about those, you think about possible answers to those questions, here are some of my suggestions. And I've actually shared a few of these on my LinkedIn profile because in an effort to create what I describe as a sustainable December, I've been posting every day since the start of the month about what we can do these holidays, what we can do to reduce the amount of plastic, what we can do to be gifting in a better way, but without taking away the fun. So here are some of my suggestions. First, I'd say, think about it. Is it that you need to give a physical gift or can you give an experience? Can you get some tickets for that person, if it's an adult, that person may want to visit a spa or may want to visit the theater or may want to visit the cinema? And yes, the gift ideas are brilliant because the gift ideas allows you to give the recipient the choice as to what it is how they'd like to spend that money and what it is that they'd like to buy. And when they'd like to buy it, because maybe they'd like to have it in a few months and not necessarily on Christmas Day, but you've done your part to hand over the gift on Christmas Day. When you're thinking about wrapping that gift, think about whether you need to have both the gift bag as well as the wrapping paper. And maybe you can have it as a cheeky addition to the gift card, if you're using that, to say, unwrap carefully. So if you ask the recipient to unwrap carefully, chances are you'll get the paper in a state that it can be reused. And that's another way in which you can reduce the waste that comes with Christmas or is often associated with all other holidays that we have during this month. Another suggestion is to think about previous cards, greeting cards, whether those be Christmas or for any other holiday. If you've received those cards and you do like many people used to do, which is you save the cards from previous year for the new year, it means that you can decide after a while that you no longer want to save particular cards, but then the covering of those cards can become your new gift tags. So you don't need to buy gift tags. And that's a way in which you're not sending the old or the previous cards to the garbage or to the skip, but in fact, you're finding another use. You're reusing the card, but you're creating a new item, a new product, and you're saving yourself some money in the process. And then finally, in terms of this session, I'd say that another way in which you can reduce the excess around gifts is to look at gifts that you may have received previously that you haven't used or you haven't opened, and think about how you can regift those, whether the regifting is to a member of your family or a friend or someone in your community, or whether that regifting is taking it to a charity shop that someone else can benefit from, as well as allow the charity shop to earn some additional income from your gifting of an item that you received as a gift, but you hadn't made use of. So those are some of my suggestions as to actions that we can take to ensure that we have, they're small actions, they're simple actions, but they can have a huge impact.
Thank you, Dr. Veronica Broomes. I'm really appreciative of all the things that you've shared. I do like the idea of the card being used as a gift tag. I'd not thought of that before. So I think that's an excellent idea, because I receive lots of wonderful cards and I don't want to throw them away. And so I keep them, and then I end up throwing them away at some point when they're overflowing out of boxes and where I've stored them, especially as I've moved. But I really love some of your ideas, and you've actually taken away some of my questions, because
apologies, but you can ask them in a different way.
You've actually encountered the communities, how we can get involved in the communities and sustain embracing sustainability. But there is a couple that I did want to share, and that's host swap markets, where residents can exchange goods instead of buying new ones. A little bit sort of on the scheme of the car boot sale, but with a difference, in terms of swapping gifts. And also looking at it like that, actually swapping gifts that we've not used. I'm sure that you, like us and many of us, that we have gifts that we don't want, and they either get thrown away, put in the bin, or they just get put in a shelf in the wardrobe somewhere and forgotten about. And I like to recycle those gifts without offending the person that sent it to me. So I do feel that this exchange market is a good idea. And also to organise eco-friendly holiday fairs with local sustainable vendors would be another thing that I would suggest. So I'd like to look at starting and growing a business. What advice do you have? And we'll start off with Reverend LYDIA to begin with. What advice do you have for entrepreneurs looking to build sustainable businesses, in terms of how would they begin? What are your thoughts in terms of your views on sustainable business activities?
Well, the way now people should look at business should be online business, where they do not have a warehouse or they do not have all those fees and all this, the inventory that they have to keep. So the way, if they actually have a virtual business, they save a lot and it's very sustainable, because the thing is that there is nothing that goes to the curb, and they produce as they need. So there is no waste. And they produce as they need. Not They do not have a lot in inventory and then lose that inventory and create piles of garbage, actually, and plastic of whatever. There are lots of people that actually print T-shirts. So those are clothes. They print them as they're asked. They just pre-order them. They are done as it comes. There are coffee mugs that they actually are used. So they print the coffee mugs as they are ordered. There is businesses like Audible books that you listen to. So that is the way of actually saving the planet. You can actually give, uh, as a business, actually, you can give a service that actually will be a service, like hunting, fishing, uh, doing things like that, that do not ask for merchandise. So the service is something fun, and that you do not have to take along any items. You have fun, but actually you do not actually hurt the planet if you do those activities. That is the way I think businesses should go now. It is a way not to keep inventory and to maximize the fun for people. That is the way I see business now.
Thank you, Reverend Lydia. I am nodding here as you're mentioning some of those things. I'm guilty, very guilty of printing everything off and being very old school. And I'm doing my best not to print. But when I haven't printed something and the computer dies, that's my challenge. And so it's about a balance for me because I do print off a lot of stuff and I had to throw away a lot of paperwork when I moved because I'd kept things from the very first entry of me being in business, which was the year 2002 and 3. So I'd kept paperwork for almost 2 decades. So it was very scary when I started to empty files. So I've got a lot less paper now, and there was a lot more recycling, but I so agree with you. And one of the things, and it wasn't really there in the agenda when I started my business, but, you know, for people looking at starting their business from day one, I would actually say incorporate sustainability in your supply chain from the very beginning, from day one. If you are focused on setting up a business, it certainly wasn't on the agenda when I first set up my business 2 decades ago. But now I feel that it is a part of the way that a lot of companies are operating. So, Dr. Veronica Broomes, what are your thoughts about what's being shared here, and what would you suggest? And we'll keep the comments to a couple of minutes if you can, just that there's quite a few questions I'd like to get through and really tackle some different areas. But what are your quick thoughts in terms of how to start and grow a sustainable business for entrepreneurs?
I would say it depends on whether you're selling products or you're selling services. So that would be a start. I agree with quite a lot of what has been said by both you and Reverend Lydia, but I'd say it depends on what you're selling, whether it's products or services. If you're selling products, you need to be thinking where you're sourcing that material from, how far away it would need to travel from, who are your end users. Can you have someone who's closer to your end user distributing that item for you? Can you find a way in which you can reduce your overall cost as it relates to acquiring the product that you're selling? If you're selling services, whilst the services may be online, there's still a carbon footprint. What that means is that the internet does use energy. Storing in the cloud uses energy. So it's not emission free. You still have carbon emissions. But you need to be thinking, how can I do this in a way that would reduce my emissions? And for example, you can check if you're using a website, you can check where your hosting is done. Is that with a hosting company that uses renewable energy, for example? And it is one of the questions we ask when we're doing sustainability audits for companies. If a company is using a hosting provider which doesn't have a bank of servers in somewhere that is air conditioned and the energy is escaping and therefore it has a high carbon emission, but instead has a way of capturing that energy so it can be reused, it means that's a positive. If that provider or where that data is stored is the data servers are actually hosted or the energy comes from a renewable source, whether it's be wind, the sun, or something else, it means that is another way in which you're reducing your carbon emissions. So you can be saying that, yes, although you're an online business, your business is hosted on a website that the hosting company uses renewable energy, for example. So I'd say if you're starting a business now, think about ways in which you can help the potential end users, the people you have in mind to sell to allow your service or your product to be more accessible to them. And it may also require you to think about how that is distributed, how that is given, how that is sold to the end users. So hopefully that gives some insights, Caroline, for your listeners and viewers.
Thank you very much. Yes, very much so. And I do feel from what you've shared, Dr. Veronica, that what it's doing is it's making the company be more competitive and be more open for being the choice of service or product.
Indeed.
Because I'm certainly looking at eco-friendly and sustainable suppliers now. And even with my energy, I'm with a sustainable energy supplier. And also I'm part of a challenge once a month in the winter months where I get free energy if I've saved energy in the peak time. So I'm very conscious about these things. And my own energy supplier, bless them, they send me what carbon footprint I've saved in terms of the challenge, which is once a month. I'm having a bit of a challenge in conserving energy between 4 and 7 because of the show, and it shows me I actually bump up my energy usage during the times of the show. So I tend not to log on and put all the lights on until about 10 minutes before. And that's something that I'm being very conscious about, whereas I would just have all the lights on. So how does, and I'm going to go back to Dr. Veronica, how does the concept of net zero affect our everyday lives, especially during holidays?
I think it would be helpful if I first explain what net zero means, because I think people have heard the term. They've heard it has something to do with carbon emissions or the temperature of the world or the planet. And they also may have heard that it has something with trying to get to zero. But often beyond that, it doesn't mean anything. So net zero is actually the term that is used to describe the point at which a country, because they're different targets according to they're different years, as well as targets according to countries. So it depends on where you live. But that's the point at which the carbon emitted, the carbon emissions, the energy, the activities that we have, it's that point at which that amount that is given off is equal to the amount that can be stored or saved in a carbon sink. And the net zero, in terms of the country's requirement to get to net zero, is the point at which all the emissions all the carbon that is emitted, whether it be from travel or it be from agricultural activities or it be from anything else, all that carbon does not exceed the level that has been agreed, the year that has been agreed, when that country was emitting a particular level of carbon emissions. So, for example, in the United Kingdom, in the UK, 1990 is the benchmark year. So every business, every individual in the UK has automatically been signed up to an obligation to reduce our carbon footprint, our carbon emissions to the level that it was in 1990. And so it means that because we've exceeded the amount of carbon that the country was emitting in 1990 from its different activities and industries, it means we now need to find ways in which we can reduce those emissions. And this comes from the choices we make, not only in our energy supply, but how we travel, how we deal with the raw materials, the resources that we have, how we deal with saving the sinks, the places where the emissions can be stored. And those carbon sinks are the ones that we'd find in nature, the ecosystem, whether it be the environment in which there are trees or waterways or rivers. So they're all serving as places where carbon can get stored. So the more of those that we have, the greater the likelihood that the emissions will not be, the carbon emissions would not be in the atmosphere and therefore contribute to a higher temperature, which in turn warms the planet and creates this effect where too high temperatures, the greenhouse gases, would then cause disruptions to climate and weather patterns, as well as melting of glaciers. So I would say that to get to net zero means that you're living wherever you live, your country has agreed that it will reduce the amount of carbon that is emitted from various activities to a level at a particular year, whatever that year has been agreed to, or whatever year has been agreed at the international level. So this is where the United Nations and the climate change and the conference of parties that you may have heard about, the COPs, this is where those discussions are made, or those discussions are held and some of those decisions made, so that everyone has signed up, whether we know it or not, to achieving this target of getting to net zero. So hopefully that gives plain English, not a technical understanding or interpretation of what net zero actually means to everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Veronica. And with that, we are pretty much at the end of our show. Reverend Lydia, do you have a quick thought of 10 seconds of what Dr. Veronica has just shared in terms of what it brings up for you before we then close out with our contact details for our audience?
Oh, I have nothing to say because what she says is absolutely amazing. I thought what she explained was extraordinary, interesting, and I learned so much from what she said that it was a pleasure to hear everything that she said. I was not aware of just net zero. I do not really understand the net zero, and now I do. So thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Veronica, and thank you for the show. I'm very happy.
And I feel the same, a wonderful accolade to Dr. Veronica in terms of sharing what net zero is and all her content today on what is quite a difficult subject. We could do another part to this, definitely, Dr. Veronica, in terms of the incredible things that you have shared tonight. But we are pretty much at the end of our show. So let's quickly have a whistle stop with our audience as to what your contact details are. So share your best contact details. We'll start off with our guest, Dr. Veronica. What's the best way for people to reach you?
I'd say the best way to reach me is on LinkedIn. And so there is a link on the screen, the banner, which shows that if you check for my name and you look for Sustainability Support Service, I'm likely to show up. But you can also reach me by telephone. There is a number in the UK. And if you're in the UK, you don't need to dial +44. You simply dial 0114 551 3387. And if you're overseas or you find it easier to use a US number, well, then it is, if you're already in the US, you don't need to dial the +1, but if not, you use +1 844 844 and then 936 0092. Thank you ever so much, Caroline, for the opportunity to be here again as your guest on your special show, and for Dr. Jacqueline for facilitating this.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to have you on our shows as our special guest, and we have all learned so much, and I'm sure that our viewers will have learned so much about what you've shared tonight. A very, very insightful share, Dr. Veronica. And Reverend LYDIA, please share your contact details with our audience.
I can be reached at 1-514-582-6882. 1-514-582-6882. I am in Canada. I can also, my books are also on Amazon, so they can actually look for Reverend LYDIA Fougere, and my 2 books are there for sale. So I do suggest those that want to offer books. They can be actually they are in Audible also. So this saves energy. They really does. I can also be reached at divadivinemother@gmail.com or greatdivinemother@gmail.com. And my Facebook page is LYDIA Fougere on Facebook. So I can be reached in all those ways. So, and I'll be happy to answer whatever questions people have to ask. I'm delighted, and I wish the nice holidays to everyone. Thank you for having me on the show. Thank you, Dr. Veronica, and thank you, Dr. Jacqueline, to actually take care of us all the time at every show. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend LYDIA. It has been an excellent show with tons of really insightful shares from our special guest, Dr. Veronica Broomes, and also our in-house expert panelist, Reverend LYDIA Fougeres. For me, my name is Caroline HEWARD. I've been your host, and I help you bust your stress. You can reach me on nomorestress@live.co.uk, or call me if you're international +44. If you're local, 07523 120 189. And I look forward to helping you bust your stress. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been an amazing show, packed to the brims with exciting and really relevant shares and really relevant things that you can do. Net zero and beyond, holiday choices, business and climate change. I am sure there will be another part soon. And I'll be back for part 2 of A Woman's Prerogative on this topic at 9 p.m. GMT time and 4 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Thank you very much for joining us, whether you're on the live or the replay. And just before we move over to our sponsors, please do join our VIP exclusive community and become an exclusive VIP community member. You'll have first access to our newest videos, photographs, and insights on the British royal family. It's live streamed on YouTube and on USA Global TV and Radio. And thank you, Dr. Jacqueline, for your wonderful whizzy effects in the background. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here tonight with you, and I look forward to seeing you on A Woman's Prerogative Part 2. Over now to our sponsors.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence. Building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the Secrets of Visual Impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance in Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, Unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you.
Meet Lady Ella, a special ladybug who is trained by Grand Beetle on how to listen at an elevated level. After earning her gold wings, Mother Earth and Father Universe asked her to travel across the solar system, teaching life lessons to creatures to respect one another and to listen. Learn more about her travels in the book series, The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella. The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor. Lady Ella's ABCs of Listening. Lady Ella has afternoon tea in London. The ocean calls and Lady Ella listens. Lady Ella listens in the Baobab National Game Park. Lady Ella's space adventure across the universe. The magical adventures of Lady Ella and her super-powered friends. There are also collections of colouring books for parents and kids. Providing world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Join our team of elevated listeners to teach children elevated listening skills. Lady Ella would like to teach you and your family how to listen at an elevated level. If you're interested in learning life lessons as well as how to communicate more effectively as a family, go to Amazon and order Lady Ella's books. They're all there just waiting for you.